This is the Historical Awareness Committee. Donna Dunn and Lee Martell are at the home of Fred Mills, who was born here in Dunbarton and lives on Mills Hill. And it is February 16th, 2018. And we are hoping that Fred can tell us a lot about growing up in Dunbarton.
Well, one of the first things that I can remember was going to school. I was 6 years old. The school was 2 miles away, lacking 20 feet. And so the school board said that they would not pick me up because there was a 2-mile limit. So my father took them to court. And the judge wanted to know how they measured that. And they said, right in the middle of the road from the school down. And he says, well, it lacked 20 feet. And he says, we follow the rules that it's got to be 2 miles. So the judge said, you mean a 6-year-old boy is going to walk in the middle of the road from his house to the school? Rain, snow, or anything that's there, right in the middle of the road. Oh, well, of course he can't be in the middle of the road. There are a few cars. Well, the judge says, why don't you measure on either side, not on the road, but where he has to walk, on up to the school and back. And he says, I want you to come in on Friday and tell me what you have for a measurement. And we went in on Friday, and they gave the measurement to the judge. Of course, I can't remember all the details. I had nothing really to do with it, except I was a kid. And it was 300 or 400 feet on both coming and going because of the curves and stuff. And the judge said, well, you're going to have to pick him up because it's over 2 miles. And you're going to have to pay for all this Fred Mills getting a lawyer and court costs.
All for 20 feet.
All for 20 feet.
Now, what year were you born?
1928.
So that would have been around 1934.
Yeah.
That was. And back then, the road wasn't paved, was it?
Part of it was, and part of it wasn't.
Right. And the way I understand it, they didn't really have school buses as we see them back then. They were...
Well, they were Model A's.
Model A, okay.
And they had a wooden body on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it held maybe 8 people. And Gardner was the one that picked them up, but he just picked up the people in Page's Corner.
Oh, so he went all the way down there, picked them up and brought them in.
And took them up. There were several different contractors that picked up the kids.
We're discovering that's a whole system of people that own their cars independently and did this for the town and were reimbursed.
Right, they get paid for it, yes.
Right. I just drew a blank.
Okay, now, as far as playing with kids, of course, there weren't any on the hill, except during the summer. And right across from my house was the Shirks. And they had
Now,
two
which
boys
house were you living in at the time? The one down the hill?
way
The
down.
Matthew Mills homestead? Okay.
And they had two boys and a girl. And they came up for the summer up there. And they would rent a pony from over to Bowl, and we would go and get that pony, and they would have it all summer there. And we would ride it, and we would play with the rainy days games with the boys and girls. They were the same age as I am. Mary Ann was. She was.
I think she is still alive, Mary Ann.
No.
She did finally pass on Mary Ann's others.
This last.
Within a year or two.
Yeah, within the last 6 months. And 2 years before that, she lost her husband and 2 brothers. They all died in 1 month. And
But they were fun to play with for the summer. Now,
oh,
they never stayed here for the winter and went to school.
no.
Was the big barn on that farm still standing at that point?
Oh, yes.
Does
And one of the biggest in town.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Do you remember what year that barn burned?
It didn't burn.
It didn't burn?
It just
So,
disintegrated.
oh, you're kidding.
They rotted out. They didn't do anything to repair it. And it just went to pieces. In the last part, it was pulled down. The last end was pulled down by a big truck.
Wow. Usually they recycled those materials, but it sounds like they didn't this time.
No, back then they didn't recycle anything. They rebuilt.
Mhm.
But what they did was the carpenters would build out, cut everything to measure for the whole barn. And it was peg and,
Post and beam or,
Yeah.
yeah.
and everything went together. They brought everybody in.
Had a barn
at
raising.
time, and they built the barn.
We hear about this, but I have never talked to anyone who's actually witnessed a barn raising.
I didn't, it was built
before
long
you.
before
Right,
I was
right.
born.
Were there any barn raisings while you were in town that you can recall?
No, because I lived on a hill here. The rest of the town didn't exist, so to speak, because, except for the church down there and Page's Corner, I had one buddy down there that I used to be very friendly with. I would go with him down there and visit.
And who was that?
Eddie Weston.
Weston, W-E-S-T-O-N, I know that name.
They,
Weston.
his father lived up, they have another house up in Belmont, and he worked for the electric company, and on the river, and he would come down and spent some time down here. But most of the time he was up there. But Eddie and I, there were a lot of big maples in front of their house.
And which house was this that they lived in?
Right across from Walker's.
Okay.
And we had a house built up on the limbs.
Mhm.
And they were right out over the road. Of course, there were only maybe half a dozen cars that went all day by.
So you built a tree house over the road.
Right over the road.
Wouldn't be happening today.
No. And all the trees, of course, have all been cut out.
We see old postcards with areas in Dunbarton where they called one Maple Drive, and they called another one Oak Drive, and then they called another one the Birches or Elm Drive. I figured out that Oak Drive was Gorham Pond Road, but I don't know where Maple Drive was.
I don't.
You don't remember those names? Now, when you were in school and you were young, how many school districts were there at that point?
As far as I know, only two.
The Center School and
Montalona.
Montalona. Okay. So,
And one down there on
South School,
yeah, down
Long Pond.
where, yeah.
Yep, the South School. Okay, so they were down
So
to 3 school
the-
districts at that point.
There were three of us.
Okay. The reason I asked that is we've talked to people and they said that basically the same thing you just said, that everybody kind of stayed in their own school district, between their school district and their church.
Right.
And so for me to ask you questions about what went on way at the south of town, very little unless it was a
Well-
large event, would you know about it?
Well, I knew a little about it, especially the Montalona School, because my grandfather had a woman that was teaching there, living at his house.
Do you remember the woman's name?
Yeah, Sarah Ames.
Sarah Ames. I knew you were going to say that.
And she finally built the one up there across from Wayne, the
Mhm.
first.
One of the two Ames sisters' houses.
Yeah, and the other one was her sister,
Right.
who lived in Goffstown.
Right. I wish they hadn't changed those houses. When I first moved to town, they looked like twin houses. And
Well, they tried to be twin houses,
Yeah.
but
I wonder if anybody has a picture of that. I never. No.
I don't.
That's another good question, because we really want to know how people grew up. But I was told by Don Unti at the south end of town that not a lot of people in town, not a lot of families had cameras.
Right.
And in order to say, gee, I can show you some pictures, the family had to have owned a camera.
Right.
Did your family own a camera?
We had a camera, but you didn't just take pictures. Only if you needed to really, somebody graduated or
An event.
because film was expensive and taking pictures, that was just something you didn't do because it costs a lot of money.
Now, we had O.P. Wilson in the center of town, who was a professional photographer.
Yeah.
And he's mostly responsible for all the big pictures that we have of the farms and the houses.
Right.
And he also took a lot of photography shots of people. Were there any other photographers in town that did that sort of thing?
I don't recall anybody.
Okay, well, getting back to when you were a little boy, I want to hear if you ever went barefoot, especially if you went barefoot to
We
school.
always went barefoot. We had cattle. Between the two houses, my grandfather's and ours, there was a barn, big barn, silo. There was another smaller building in back of that.
Mhm.
And that's where the livestock was. And we always never had shoes. We'd walk through whatever there was there.
I just don't understand how you didn't cut your feet.
Oh, you stepped on nails and you had holes in your shoes or in your bare feet. And we had, I used to have to come after the cows. Well, we owned from down there, where my house
The
was.
Matthew Mills homestead, yeah.
And the pastures were up here to Walden, where my garden is.
Oh my gosh.
And across the swamp out back here, across the power line, and into the woods up there where there's a stone wall that goes north and south.
That was all field, pretty much?
Yeah, it was growing up. We had a man that would cut wood for us, 10 cord or more, at the house for our furnace. And it would come out just above here. And that's where the driveway is up there. That comes in where my garden is. But on a dozen cows, there was one that had a bell on. Hot, dry weather, they were always down waiting to get in to be milked. Rainy days, where were they? And sometimes it took me an hour or more running up the hill here. Sometimes they'd be right up there where my garden was. Sometimes they'd be on the other side of the power line, up into the pines up there. And she would never move her neck to ring that bell on a rainy day. And usually they were laying down and you just went, and of course you went 3 or 4 towers down, and then you had the big fields up there. They weren't pasteurized, but down below, towards my grandfather's, that was all pasture.
Now, which house was your grandfather's house at this time?
First one down.
First down below you?
Up above me.
Up above, so you've got the Matthew Mills homestead. Do you know which one he's talking about?
You grew up in the house with John Mills, right?
Yeah,
Later.
The one you
Yeah, the
rented?
one I rented.
Right.
Yes.
right.
So your grandfather's house would have been which house?
The next
The next one
one.
down,
The next one? Oh, the little cape.
where your dad.
I got it.
Where your dad was.
I gotcha.
Before he passed away, right?
I got it. Okay.
Yeah,
So did you
but
ever
it
go?
was just the two of us
So
on the whole hill there.
now, what'd you do? Grab the cow with the bell and?
No, you just chased them back. They knew what they were supposed to do, and but it was just plain miserable. I'll tell you, trying to, and during the summer, spring, I would help my grandfather and Sadie Ames. And we'd go up on the power line and pick mayflowers.
There used to be a lot back.
Big bunches of them. And we sent them to Boston.
There's very few Mayflower plants left.
Right. Probably we didn't help the situation any, but they
Well, in
were
order to
big
send them to
and
Boston,
beautiful.
did you have to take the roots with them and package
No,
them up?
no, we just cut them off.
So to get them to Boston quickly, did you take them to Concord and put them on a
Yes.
train?
Yep.
Okay.
They went right on the train and they were in Boston within a couple of hours.
That's I'm gonna change subjects for 1 second because I wanna talk about oh, you know what, I'll get back to the trains. Did you ever go barefoot to school?
No,
No.
I always had
Did
shoes.
anybody around here that you know of go barefoot to school?
No, they wore sneakers. They
I
had
asked,
sneakers back then.
I see so many pictures of schools in other towns where the kids went barefoot to school. I've yet to find one of Dunbarton.
I never saw anybody there.
Okay, all right, so when you went to school, did you take your own lunch?
Yep, I had a lunchbox
Okay,
and I had a
what'd you usually take?
thermos with just water or some kind of drink in
What'd you
it.
take for a sandwich?
Peanut butter and jelly, mainly. My father, when he was young, he went down to the building down
The
there.
Burnham School, the brick
Yeah.
schoolhouse? Yeah.
And he took lard sandwiches.
Lard?
Lard. That's what almost everybody in that age group had. They didn't have peanut butter or anything else.
So I take it this was homemade rustic bread, not
Yeah.
Wonder White.
No,
Homemade.
everybody made their own bread.
Mhm.
And they put lard on it. And that's what they had to eat.
I heard of frying bread for breakfast in lard. I heard of that, but I hadn't heard of lard sandwiches.
Lard sandwiches. But at the school, they had big stoves, flat stoves, and they could put their sandwich on there and get it toasted.
Okay.
And it had a round ring around it so that nobody could fall against it or anything. But
Now, what did they drink for water in school? Most of the schools way back then got their water from a local stream that was very close.
no, they got it from some house, mainly from the next house, which
Okay,
is.
yes, I know which one, the big yellow house, out at their well, and then they would bring it to the school.
Yeah,
Did they share?
every day, somebody had to go get a pail of water, bring it to the school, and then you had a dipper that you dipped in and
You
put it
shared?
in a cup.
Okay, so they didn't, that you know of, they didn't share dippers?
No,
Because it was, I don't remember what year, but I saw in the town report, early in the 1900s, that each school now officially had paper cups.
yeah,
And some of the kids would make them out of math paper.
oh, you used to fold them and you drank from them. Of course, you didn't, they wouldn't last for very long, so, but if you drank them, and then that was it. And then you threw the paper in the trash and burned it in the fire.
Do you know if they ever had a trash pile behind the school building where they put the empty bottles and ink bottles and things like that?
No, I don't know
Okay.
whether they took it to the dump. We had a dump.
That was off Farrington Road, right?
Yeah,
Is that the only dump that you know of?
that's the only one that all my life.
When did that close down? I mean, like the 70s or 80s?
Probably in 60s maybe.
60s, okay.
But most everybody had their own dump. And where our house was, in back, there was about 30 feet of dirt, and then it was a bank that was 10 or 15 feet deep. And we used to throw all our trash and stuff there rather than to take it to the dump down.
But you're talking mostly like glass and metal
Right,
and cans, not cardboard and other things you'd burn.
no, you burned, because you had a furnace and you burned that.
Now, growing up, did you have any, when you were little, did you have any jobs that you were paid to do, or
as I got a little older, I used to work down over the hill towards Hopkins Line. And the guy that is there now, with all
Automotive?
trucks and everything.
Automotive, yes.
He had a big, it wasn't this guy, but he had a great big garden out back. And I would work weeding and stuff like that. I probably was 8 or 9.
How did you get there? Did you walk?
No, I rode my bicycle, yeah. And
And you went all by yourself?
I got paid 5 cents an hour for working there. And then other times up there on top of the hill, the second house in, well, it would be the third house from the corner there, in Page's Corner, where the lights are. There's John Stark Mansion. Then there was another one, and the third one was Grove. And he raised chickens to have eggs, and he would send them in to be turned into chickens. You had to go in, and they had to be some kind of a needle put into them with some antibiotic or something. Of course, that wasn't what it was called back then. But every one of them had to have that done to them. And I would go in there and catch them, every one of them. And he had hundreds of them. And it took a day or two, and I got paid a quarter of an hour. Yeah.
Wow, a lot better than gardening.
It was a good job, a good paying job, but he got a lot of money out of that.
You must have had a batch every year.
Oh, yes. But otherwise, we had a big garden, and I worked in that.
Did you sell anything from your property?
Yep. Well, my father ran a milk room in Concord, and I would go with him at times.
Was this milk from your own cows?
Milk from our own
So
cows.
you milked
We
cows?
milked, and we made butter. We sold all kinds of vegetables, and during the winter, we sold potatoes, and especially squashes. We had a room upstairs that was never finished at that time. And we had that full of squashes, all kinds of squashes.
And it didn't freeze?
No, it wouldn't freeze inside.
Inside, okay.
Was that the room over the kitchen?
Yeah, well, on the north side. Right as you went up the stairs, it was the first one that was there. And we sold all that stuff. Every day we went in. But we sold cream, and we had 2 pigs, and at least 2 pigs every year. And
Did you help butcher them?
no, we had a crew of 3 men who would come in the fall, and they would kill them and slice them in half, and hang them up. Well, after they had a big tub, and they built a fire under it, and it was hot, and they would scrape them all the bristles off and everything. And then they took one pig, both sides, and there was never any money.
It was bartering.
That's the way they did back then.
I was gonna ask about that. Did they do, you got?
We got our pig and they got
Their pig.
their pig, and there was never any money. And they did a beautiful job.
And that'll,
Then,
porky tastes good.
then we cut them up ourselves, and we took them over to Foss's, which was the last house in Dunbarton, on the back road over there.
You say the back road, you mean Grapevine?
Yeah,
Okay.
all the way. It was the last house in town. And he would smoke them. He smoked the hams and the bacon and everything there. And then when it was done, we'd pick it up. And
Now, did you pay him or did you barter with him too?
we bartered with him too. But his daughter married Leland, my
Ah,
brother. And her sister owned the house next to Eileen down there on Tenny Hill Road. And they all moved to Florida, but their daughter, Heather, is in the old house down there.
really? That's the house next up, the yellow house?
That's the first.
It's the house at the bottom of the hill,
Mhm.
before Tenny Hill.
Oh, the old John White's farm.
No.
Leland, I believe Leland built that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, so she.
Well, part of that house came, on Tenny Hill Road, the next house to Eileen.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Patty.
Patty's, and it came from Dunbarton and Bull Line, where all the trailers were. There were
Oh,
4 or 5 at that time,
okay.
and there's only, what, 3
Yeah, right,
here now?
yeah, where DeRoss was.
Yeah, they moved it up there.
Do you know when that happened roughly?
I don't know, my father gave them the land, gave her the land to put it on.
Patty who?
Patty,
Foss.
Patty
Foss.
Foss, okay.
She never married.
Okay. And she's still there?
Mm.
No, okay. All right. Do you think that was the 40s, the 50s? This.
Probably it was in the 70s.
Because there's a concrete foundation under
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But Leland's house on 13, he built
Right.
that, right?
And that was Octave's and Gert's house.
Oh, I did not know.
Yep, they moved it up there.
Oh,
When Octave built the new one,
okay, I did not know that, yeah.
but
It's in Alice's book.
they had to raise them. And the house isn't bigger than a 2x4,
Yeah.
but they did.
They moved a lot of property back then.
Oh,
Sometimes they.
everything they moved. It didn't matter.
I think, if, what I heard from your brother years ago, the kitchen section of the house that you grew up in came from across the street originally.
No,
That's what your
that
brother
was
said.
my grandfather's house. The next house.
Oh,
My grandfather.
What he told me when I rented the house, that the kitchen section of that house was moved from across the road over to there.
No,
No?
No, they moved it from across the street. It was on Shirk's
Right.
side,
Right.
Right,
and they moved it across
yes.
diagonally.
Oh, okay, so annexed it to.
And that's
Right.
where the porch and the second porch is. The first one, they built on to the original one. But that first one had, sliding windows, to keep the windows from being, the Indians couldn't,
Oh,
shoot
right.
through.
Oh,
Yeah,
with
that's-
Indian shutters.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, they're still in there.
and that's where they moved it from, just across the street there. And that was where my grandfather was, and then they built on that second part.
Mhm.
And, that first part they built over the top of it, and that's where Sadie, we used to live. And we used to take her, go over and get her every, vacation. That's why I knew about the school, because we picked her, she,
Now, was it Sadie or Sarah or both of them?
it was Sarah,
It was Sarah, okay.
she was a teacher.
Okay. Is it Sarah that lived with your grandfather or Sadie?
Yeah,
Sarah, okay. 'Cause I know there was a sister there. Briefly segueing, when talking about moving buildings, when the Hopkinton Everett Dam project happened, we do know that some of the houses there, were specifically one was moved to the center of town.
yeah.
No one seems to know what happened to the Stark schoolhouse, which used to be right at that bridge.
It was long, I never saw it.
Alice Hadley's book said it was removed after it had been used as a
Well,
blacksmith shop and
it
auto.
could have been,
Yeah.
whatever, but
Okay,
it was gone when I was
okay.
a kid.
Okay,
And when they put in a new dam, I worked at night for them.
did
They
you?
poured it in the winter,
Oh, wow.
the new dam.
Yeah.
And I had to make sure that, the heaters were going
Yeah.
all night to keep it from freezing
Right, yeah.
and curing, so.
Were you around when the Stark Cemetery was moved?
Oh, yes.
Did you work on that?
No, that was a government project.
Did you observe any of it?
Not really, because, there was so much construction going on. You really couldn't get near anything. See, they moved the whole thing, all those, big rocks,
Cemetery still.
that went around the
Well, the
cemetery.
reason I ask is if you walk over there now on the old site,
Yeah,
you stumble across pieces of granite that are still in the ground. And I wonder
Right.
why they would have moved the headstone but not used
The
the
footstone,
base,
the
the
base,
footstone. So it really makes me wonder if they truly moved those bodies or just moved the stones.
nobody really knows.
That, I was told that they hung big, they put tarps up while
It
they were
could
doing
very
this.
well be, because they didn't want anybody knowing what was going on.
Mhm.
But they moved the whole thing up there.
Okay. I wish I could find someone that actually was part of that process.
I don't think, I think that was all governments,
Right.
people that came in.
And no local employment.
No, I don't think they hired a single person.
Really?
They hired experts that came in to do everything. That was quite a project to build that.
Do we know who the last person was buried in that cemetery?
I don't. It's a private cemetery, so the town doesn't have those records. But I bet Nancy Frost would know.
The Stark,
Yeah,
the old Stark.
I don't Oh, Charlotte might have been the last one when she had her horse buried with her. Charlotte or her sister, one of the two of them. Okay, so now let's talk about what you did for fun in the summer and the winter.
Well,
You know about the pony?
we used to go up on the field behind us. That was all field behind the houses there, clear down to where the first house is. And we would go up and come all the way down with our sleds, sliding the whole way on the crust, from the top to the bottom,
And then walk all the way back up?
and walk all the way back. And so you didn't make many trips, but it was fun on the way. And you had to cross the brook and everything.
Did anyone ever get hurt?
Oh, once in a while you'd fall off and you lose a little skin on your chin or on your face
How about,
because of the crust.
how about skis? Somebody was telling us they had used barrel staves and they would try to ski sometimes.
Well, we tried that, but it wasn't any good.
Yeah. We've heard stories about a huge toboggan or a huge wooden sled, and I think it was I know it was, I was there. It was sold at the last auction in the house that Brian Little now owns up at Page's Corner, to the side of the Molly Stark house.
Yeah.
Dearborn. Francis Dearborn? Francis Dearborn. Anyhow, it was sold at the auction of that estate.
Yeah.
And it was huge. Fred, it was 1.5 times the
yes.
size of your couch. Do you
Well,
remember this sled?
I've seen it, but I never rode on it. It was towards the last, and they would roll roads instead of plowing them
Right.
when they first. And they would start up here and go all the way to the light down there,
Oh my
with
God.
10 or 15 people on that.
Did they pull it up the hill or did someone tow it up for them?
They towed it up by themselves.
Yeah, well,
There was no cars or anything.
That
back
was not a
then.
light sled. I saw it. Heard about that.
No. My grandfather was a postman. And he...
Harry?
Yeah.
Harry Mills.
And he delivered in the mail in East Concord. And just at the end of his driveway, he put in a gas tank.
First one in town.
First one in town. And so he had plenty of gas.
Now, did he drive an official mail truck?
No.
He drove his
was
own
always
vehicle.
Private. He almost always had a Buick, big Buick. It would hold all the mail.
So that you're aware of, did they ever use any of the mail trucks? Or I've seen old pictures from Concord with the old mail trucks, and some of them are on snow runners. One was, I shouldn't say truck, because they were pulled by horses. And they said rural route number 1 or 2 on them. And I do believe that the north end of town was rural route 2.
Yeah, it always was.
Do you remember any, or did you hear stories about a horse-drawn mail delivery system? No. Okay.
It always came by car,
That always came by car. Okay.
but it wasn't my grandfather that delivered it.
Mm-hmm. About what time period did Harry start delivering mail? I've seen articles in the newspaper about his retirement.
Yeah,
Probably
I can't, it was, it must have been around the time when I was born,
Okay.
because My father was always into the farming business and he wasn't. But we had a big ice pond up on top of the hill and we cut ice.
Is that still there?
It's still there, but you wouldn't know where it was, it's so filled in. But we cut ice up there and.
Now, when you
we
say
got-
up there, of course, you were living down here.
Yeah,
So would it be somewhat parallel with this building now?
no, it was way down.
Way down, okay.
The big fields up beyond where the houses are now.
Okay. But there's a stream through there, right?
Yeah, that's at the bottom,
All right.
and it's,
How-
the pond is way up on the top, and when they dug it out, it was always there, but they, before my time, they dug it out, and, it was only about 10 or 12 feet deep.
That's not the one behind the house, then?
No, no, this is way up on the top of the hill.
Yeah, there's a big field up on the top.
Yes, there was,
Was it
and
there?
now there's nothing but trees.
Well, that's growing in pretty well, yeah.
So how would they have done this? If you were born, well, they would have had tractors in the early 1900s, right?
Yeah, but we had horses.
So how did a horse dig?
We, after, we had a little house up there.
Mhm.
There was no cover on it. But it was all the way around, and it had a sled that went right up into the building. And we could pull them up for 2 or 3 layers and cover them with sawdust.
Yikes, yeah.
Okay.
Then, as it got higher, you had to have a horse on the other side, and he would pull the blocks up. Some of those blocks would weigh 200 or 300 pounds.
Wow.
Oh, we had, back then, we had to shovel the darn thing off. Of course, I was very,
Yeah.
I
Right.
was 6, 7, or 8, and I couldn't do much, but whatever I could, I did. But, and that would last all summer. We'd come up with a truck and shovel off the sawdust and pull out one another.
And this the building was in the middle of a field?
No, right
Oh,
along the
The
edge.
tree line, okay, all right.
And it was on the back of the wall.
You think there's anything left of it at all?
No,
No.
you'd never know anything was ever there.
Do you know anything, because in the woods in that general area down there is that round stone house. It's a round,
It's on the brook.
it's on the brook, it's round, it's only about 8 or 10 feet across,
Yeah,
circular,
10 looks like,
maybe about 7 feet high, it had a couple of
It had
windows.
a conical roof.
Don't know anything.
It's behind
about it.
Cards, where, who was that, you know? It's up at the head of the Tenny Brook. It starts at the head of Tenny Brook.
That
Somebody-
isn't the same,
Somebody's pump house.
yeah, well, that would be,
Fancy pump house.
that would be on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Right.
and that would be some land that we
Right.
never,
Right, because I think you're,
we own just a little of the land down by the power line.
okay,
And it comes down, I think about halfway across.
okay, right, that makes sense.
And you got a little section there. And then it comes up to our fields.
Yeah.
But it used to go all the way down to, where Arlene is.
Okay, right, right,
Yeah.
all of that, yeah, it's cut out.
Yeah, that whole section.
Mhm. Yeah, I've walked those fields a million times up there,
Right.
million times, yeah.
Okay. So, when you were little, what did you wear for clothes? Homemade clothes, I mean,
No, we,
store bought.
store bought.
And you had your Sunday clothes, and your school clothes,
Yeah.
and your play clothes.
Right.
Right, and barefoot. How many pairs of shoes did you own?
Probably only one pair at a time.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing was they had a boot that came up to about like that. And it had a knife on the side of it,
A pocket knife?
a pocket knife.
Keep it handy.
It was like that, and it had a slot, and you went to school with that.
You went to school with a pocket knife, huh?
Of course,
Oh, what-
there was no big deal, and we used to go out and throw our knives into the ground
Mhm.
and to see
Target.
who can get to the target,
Mhm.
and we make a target there. And there was no big deal.
Did the girls have pocket knives?
I don't think they bothered to have, they could have had, but those boots were the coolest darn things you ever. I had on as many pairs of socks as I could put on, but my feet were always frozen. I wished that I had never wanted those for Christmas. It came back to bite me, I'll tell you.
Now, in addition to knife tossing, what other kind of games did you play?
We used to have a lot of sand back in there, and during the summer, Henry would come up, and he was a sheriff, Mary Ann's brother. The other one, he came up a little, but he never did much. Fell out of the tree one time and broke his arm. He never wanted to come up here much, so he never did. But we would take big rocks, we would build a castle or something on there, and we would stand back and throw rocks like bombs, and destroy what we had done. And when it was raining, then we played games up there to their house.
Now, did you ever go swimming in the summer?
Oh, we went over the Stacks, Stack Pond. Well, no, it wasn't Stacks Pond. We did a little, but it wasn't.
Good for
It
swimming.
was more muddy, but we went over there, and it was the river. And they had a big hole
A
that we
swimming
would swim in. And they had lockers over there so you could change
pool. When was this?
before they put in a dam.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And during the war, they brought the army came in with their cavalry. Dozens and dozens of trucks with horses on them. And they used that whole area for camping and going through the woods and just practicing with the cavalry. Several times they did that.
That would have been in the early.
Well, we would go swimming there, everybody
Mhm.
did.
Was that near the bridge back there? In where?
No,
No, it wasn't in that far in. It wasn't
No.
that far in.
no,
How did you get over there? Did you ride your bicycles or?
no, we went with my mother, most of the time with a pickup truck,
Mhm.
and she would take a
So she drove the pickup truck, because
Yeah.
back then, not all women drove.
No, but she did.
Standard.
Yeah, I can see it now. And so
But,
she pile you into the truck.
We, yeah, and, we always went over there swimming.
Did you ever swim in that little, pond, I guess, that was made on Everett Road by the town?
Oh, we tried to build a dam down there and make a little pond, but, it didn't ever really amount to anything. But at school, ponds were the second house from the cemetery on the left-hand side. They had a little pond down in back,
Yes.
and we would skinny dip down there at noon.
So this is kind of like from across the street from the cemetery in the back.
Yeah,
I think I know which one it is. You would skinny dip at noon,
yeah.
but there was
Well, we always, during the winter, we would have sleds, and we would slide down the road by the store as far as we could go. You could go all the way down to,
we have a photograph of Helen Hadley on a sled, face down, and one other person sliding down between, and as you look, she's coming, you can see the store and you can see the old barn that used to be there, and she's coming right down Everett Road.
right, we used to, but if you went all the way, you would go clear down to the,
Yes.
so we never did, because by the time you could only take maybe 2 times a slide, so you'd go down to where a little beyond where the town, has got their
Yeah.
building.
Now, the other thing, Arlene Little said that when she attended the center school in the winter, that the teacher would take the students behind the store, and there was an ice pond there that they could skate on, and they would skate during lunch, and then go back to the school. Did you ever do say?
No, we never
Okay.
did.
We do have a picture of people swimming in that ice pond in the summer.
Well,
It says from 1920.
that came after we were,
Okay.
I was probably 3 or 4 years older than, well, maybe 5 years difference between her and me.
Okay.
But she used to be a telephone operator.
That's a whole story we're gonna get from her if we can.
Right. I told her that if you want to know more about the town, all the town, you gotta talk to her, because she knew all the town and everybody in it, because she was a telephone operator.
Well, we asked her, but she didn't seem willing to do that at this point. Maybe you could ask her for us.
Well, I asked her a couple of days ago. I call her every night to see if she's okay. And I told her that you probably wanted to talk to her, because she knows more history about the town than I do, because
The whole town.
she knew the whole town, everybody that had a telephone. And
So she open to the idea?
I think she is.
Okay.
I think you
I will
wouldn't have to, I
I will
don't
be
think
talking.
you'd have to twist around too
Okay.
much.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering, we've been doing this for
Yeah.
a little over an hour. We probably
Yeah.
ought to
Yeah.
at least take a break, if not.
Well, be good to get part 2 after.
You know what, we'll come back and do part 2 after. How's that?
Another day.
Yeah, that's,
Give you time to think of other things.
Yep.
well,
Oh, I can even give you a list.
There's a million things that I can tell you.
Right, we could be here all day. is my
Yes.
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
Well, Fred, thank you. This is
Thank
the
you,
end of
yeah.
part one,
Oh,
and we'll be back.
all right, very nice.